All right, we're back in action. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the North American, not just America, Showmatch series. Like I said, we managed to grab everybody from just about every part of North America. We got Fog earlier, who was representing Canada. We had Arium, Caliber, No Regrets so far representing America. And in this last final showdown, we have Puck, the American, versus JimRising, the Mexican. And we'll see which of these two comes out supreme. Spawning here in the top right corner of the map, though, on Overgrowth, the Blue Protoss from IVD, it's Puck. And Puck was calling Jim merely a Super Saiyan. Not Super Saiyan 2. He's not good enough to really fight him. It's a pretty playful banter in the lobby. His opponent, though, he's a Barcode, currently hiding out from the Nation Wars against Canada coming up. It is the Red Zerg player, JimRising. So he's currently up 1-0 at the moment, but like I said before, it's a best of 7. It's $100 on the line, 75 for first, 25 for second. So again, regardless of how this plays out, these guys both get a little bit of cash as a thank you for playing. We've tried to always include a second place prize when applicable because, I mean, honestly, it is thank you for playing. You put on an entertaining show for all of us. And let's not forget, while he did go down, unfortunately, No Regrets and Ikaij, without those two, we wouldn't have today. For those who don't understand how this works, for the base trade TV show match series, we typically try and tailor one match towards the request of somebody. So like, let's say you're average Twitch viewer B, and you donate $100, and you say, I want to see Impact versus a Terran player. We'll go out of our way to try and get an awesome Terran player to go up against Axiom's Impact. We'll then try and get a couple matches that we'll pay for, like the other ones outside of it, to make it a giant day and an awesome event instead of just one boring old show match. So that's what the Money Speaks series has been so far. We've had some pretty great success for it so far. This is one of the first North American really focused, centered ones that we've had, and I hope you guys have been enjoying it so far. And with any luck, you know, people will continue to request North Americans more in the future. As I gotta be honest, it's pretty nice casting at like 5 p.m. instead of 5 a.m. For those who don't know, a lot of the events we cover on Base Trade TV, like the Acer Team Story Cup and such, those start at like 5 a.m. for me. That's not a fun time to wake up, but it's nice doing this in the evening, so I really appreciate this as well. Anyways, as far as the openings for this map go, just a little bit, actually, you know what, there was a small awkwardness going into this as we handled player vetoes. One of the big things was Puck had misunderstood and thought I was asking for his next map pick, not first map veto. For those who aren't aware, we both allow these players to veto one map each. Like, let's say you really hate Ultrazim, then you don't have to play on Ultrazim. So there's 9 maps in total for a best of 7. You veto 2, 7 maps left. Puck accidentally selected King Sejong Station, which then of course made Jim veto it. So confirm BM. He says it was by accident. Whatever. But yeah, Habitation Station and King Sejong Station are both out of the map pool. So we've got some new Kirk in there, some new Polaris Rhapsody, which I'm surprised nobody's vetoed today. I think if any map goes to map 7, it'll be that one. And yeah, we'll see how this day pans out. Now, it's worth noting, Jim went for this strategy that, I gotta be honest, for like 90% of that game, just seemed inefficient, ineffective. It wasn't getting a lot done. But then as he got further and further in, just that snapping point, that pushing point, picking off the bases of Puck, making him have no economy, that was his key to victory. Now, I don't think he'll have that same opportunity here on Overgrowth. While Overgrowth does have spread out bases, it's nothing like the way Derelict Watcher is. Also, Derelict Watcher in and of itself, just through terrain, the open spaces on the map, and its older sort of nostalgic feel, it's not really that Protoss favorite of a map. It never was, and I don't think it ever will be, not unless something changed to it. But it was taken out of the map pool a long time ago, and as we like to do, we shake it up a little bit with the odd maps here and there. Anyways, that's actually going to be 3 gates in total coming down at a Jim, with the 4th one already made. So I'm not sure how much pressure he's going to look to apply across the map. We've seen this earlier today when we were watching the Go for StarCraft series, and it can be effective. If you go for a 4 gate off 2 bases, that's not all in. You can do some damage, and the idea is like you absolutely wreck a 3rd and maybe do a little bit more damage beyond that. But we'll see how much Puck wants to dedicate to this, because Jim's not going for a fast 3rd. He's throwing a macro hatchery down in the natural instead. And this isn't because like he scouted something that said like, oh boy, what a scare. He hasn't even seen the extra gateways. This is something he just simply did last game as well. I just didn't bring a lot of attention to it because I've been watching so much Starbow, or we've been casting a lot of Starbow. It didn't actually register with me right away. But this is going to be a macro hatchery, and even the evolution chambers are put a little sunken into the base. So you're a little bit curious on the positioning there. But Puck's got this pylon coming up, and again, the idea of this 4 gate, if he doesn't dedicate too much of it, this is just awkward, because you come and it's like, all right, I'm going to kill a 3rd. It's going to go down. And then, oh wait, there's nothing here. You know, so you can always back off of that if that ends up being the case. But there's no way you try and 4-gate into the natural. If you do, you're just going to find yourself surrounded, especially when you're fighting on creep. That's another big advantage. There's usually not a lot of creep spread to the third at this time. But he's looking for a fight. He's looking to try and get something in here. So it looks like he is going to try and use this, but like I said before, it's a little bit odd to come across a Zerg player who is intentionally playing on 2 bases. But again, this is another reason I love getting JimRising involved with stuff. He does things a little bit weird, a little bit odd, and somehow they work. You know, granted, that didn't happen to be the case for WCS, sadly. But we had him in a show match once before in the past, and I remember specifically going like, wow, this guy plays a bit odd. I like it a lot, and that's why I was more than happy to get him involved with this one again. So it's pretty cool to see. Someone did ask earlier how the show match series work, like how we pick our players. And honestly, it's just players I recall enjoy casting. Like, we cast so much on Base Trade TV of the weekly cups, of the Red Bulls, and IEMs, and whatever. I feel like I've seen every player at least once, whether I remember them or not. So I just often go with the ones that leave the best impression on me, that I think will give the funnest games. Outside of the ones that are requested, of course. That's the highest priority. To date, we've been able to get every player requested except for one, but that one's still kind of in the air. We had, I think, Swefimo? No, I can't remember if it was Swefimo. Someone requested we try and get San in a show match a little while back, but I asked Breaker to try and put us in contact, and he's kind of been in limbo for the last like month and a half, so I don't know what's going on with that. But outside of that one, to date, we've been able to get every player requested for show matches so far, which is pretty rad, and I'm glad the series has been successful as it is. Now, I'm doing a lot of boring small talk right now, but it's because these guys are not really advancing the game too far. Jim's taking a 4th while this was happening in tandem with a 3rd, which is kind of a cool move. But there's nothing Puck can really do about this. And what's even stranger for Puck, again, he's coming up against a player who's not playing your typical PvZ. JimRising goes Ling heavy. He might even go Infestors instead of Swarmhost or not. I mean, before we even started the series, if you guys listened to us when we were setting up the Skype call, he kind of joked about having the power of Swarmhost, but there's a very real reality. He may be able to make that happen. Meanwhile, down here, we got the Phoenix can get a nice scout off. What's the player request? Oh, it is going to be Swarmhost. Okay. Someone asking what's the point of requesting player cameras if they're going to be in the dark the whole time. Hey, that's his choice, man. We just asked if he'd be willing to use the camera. He said sure. This wasn't something we had set up in advance, but that is so many links to get through again. This happened in game 1. It happens in game 2. JimRising gets past Puck's defenses. Everything's in the middle of the map. He can't exactly recall back home. He is going to do a big warp in to try and hold the main, and there's a hell of a lot of gateways here, but these Zerglings are certainly getting their money's worth. Now he pops off an overcharge in the natural, and he's killed about 12 probes so far, but he's also going to kill these Zealots. I love this choice. Retreating past to the natural. Oh, he's actually going to pull back to try and defend the Nexus. He's going to attack with the probes, I imagine. I was going to say he could retreat to the natural and wall this off so Zerglings can come by, but he realizes the danger of actually losing this base. If he had lost his Nexus in the main, that would have been devastating. In fact, actually, is it going to go down? There's still a lot of Lings alive. Oh my god, if he holds this, it's going to be just barely. It's going to be just barely. 44 HP, but Puck kills a 4th while this is going on. Not that I think JimRising was too heavily reliant upon it, but as he pushes forward, the Locust waves, this is kind of like watching Locust come out versus mech players. There's just not a lot. The problem is, this is pretty much all in for Puck. The Lings have compromised his natural again, and while he fully wills off the main, it's a Nexus with 44 HP. It's not something you go into the late game with. He does get the melee upgrades canceled. That'll cut down on the Lings here from JimRising, but as each wave of these Locusts comes in and as the Zerglings pour in from behind, these units are slowly going to start to bleed out. And I don't know if Puck can do enough damage to justify the losses he took at home. It was a small mistake, but it's one that cost him quite dearly here. A couple of Archons are all that really stand, and well, he did get a couple up here to the main. Whoa, how did he get a couple up to the main? What was that about? He's actually going to town on top of the Swarmhost. Crazy transfuses coming off on this, though, and he will pick off a couple of these Swarmhosts with the Locust pop, and these Archons are almost out of shields. If he can pick off the Swarmhost, Puck can absolutely bully JimRising into submission, but that's a lot easier said than done. A force field goes down on the wrong side of the Locust. GG is going to be called, and Puck will go down in game number 2. JimRising now up 2-0 in this series. We'll see if he can continue his reign of terror going into game number 3.